I formally invite you to this wonderful session on belief work, and I welcome you all formally on behalf of ICF Mumbai. This is a learning session brought to you by the Coaching Mastery Community of Practice of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. I am Gayatri Anand. I am a master coach, and I am also your host for today. And I lead the Coach Mastery Community of Practice for ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. With me are Dave. Do you want to spotlight Dave? We have Dave and Preeti, who are your co-hosts.
Hello.
Dave and Preeti are PCC coaches themselves and are members of the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter and ambassadors of the Coaching Mastery Community of Practice. Some of the housekeeping rules: kindly keep yourselves off video and mute when Lion takes over the session so that we could go through the screen sharing and the wisdom that he imparts to us. Until we open the house to the breakout rooms and interactions, when you could bring up your audios and videos back. This is just to avoid disruption in the transmission that could be caused due to bandwidth issues. During the session, if you have a burning question, please put in the chat box and Preeti will prompt our speaker or curate them for Q&A segment towards the end. For those who wish to claim CCUs for the session, we will post a link to a Google form in the chat box sometime before the end of the session. Please use that link to enter your full name and your email address and the name that you would like to appear in your CCU certificate. We also invite you to stay on after the session for about 15 minutes for networking and sharing. Of course, we will have a quick feedback poll before we break out for the networking session. I once again welcome you to this learning engagement brought to you by the Community of Practice Coaching Mastery of the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. Today's topic, as you all know, is beliefs, the infrastructure of human consciousness. Beliefs, as Lion puts it, are the alphabets we use to construct the language of our experience. We have following learning goals from today's session. We will get to understand beliefs and how they function, understand the language of the subconscious mind, learn to use the body wisdom process to communicate with the subconscious mind to uncover limiting beliefs. Today's expert speaker is Goodman, and I think he really doesn't need an introduction, but as a host, it's my duty to do so. Goodman is founder of the Clear Beliefs Institute of Trauma-Informed Therapeutic Coaching with graduates in 45 countries. He has had 40 years experience as a transformational coach, healer, and teacher. His Clear Beliefs methodology is designed to delete limiting beliefs, childhood wounds, and traumas from the core of the psyche. Lion is the author of 5 books, including Clear Your Clients' Limiting Beliefs, Creating on Purpose, and Menlightenment. He has taught workshops in 4 continents, and his writings have been widely published in books, magazines, and websites. His students and clients report rapid and profound transformation from his methodology, freeing them to be happier, healthier, and more successful. A fun fact about Lion, not fun, but interesting. At the age of 26 years, Lion was shot in the head by a man who tried to kill him. And they talked together for 8 hours after that incident. A more fun fact, Lion received his bachelor's degree in consciousness studies in 1975, one of the first degrees granted in that field. It's my immense pleasure to welcome Lion and impart his wisdom, his methods, and dig deep into the beliefs and how to uncover limiting beliefs and work with the subconscious mind. Over to you, Lion. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you for inviting me here. I've said it earlier, but I want to say it again. I'm really honored to be here with you. I thank you for inviting me. Thank you for showing up, joining me here. I do have a lot to share today. I do have some slides to show, but mostly I have me and this knowledge base to share with you. So I think we're just ready to begin, right?
Yeah, please go
All
ahead.
right. Good. I'm going to share my screen if this works. We'll see how we do here. All right. Are you seeing me and the slides?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
Great. All right. So this is Beliefs, the Infrastructure of Human Consciousness. I haven't heard anyone else talk about it this way, so I'm hoping that it is enlightening and exciting for you. And I hope to be a little bit entertaining and a little bit instructional here, because there's so much to share. I've been a student of consciousness, as Gayatri said, since college, but I will tell you a bit about myself. And please mute yourself if you're not already muted. That's not a picture of me on the left, but that's how I felt as a child. I've been interested in people and psychology and consciousness for as long as I can remember. I've had 45 years of study and practice in a wide range of disciplines, from the sciences to the metaphysics to religion and philosophy, to all types of psychology and personal development. And my interest is in tapping into the full power of the mind. It's like, what does it take to have a fully engaged mind, and a fully engaged spirit, and a fully engaged heart, and a fully engaged body? That's my quest. As Gayatri said, I've published 5 books, 50 articles. I've been successful. Oops, there we go. Let's try this again. I'm not very practiced at this. And I call myself scientifically trained, spiritually integrated, and intuitively attuned. My goal is to empower other people to move beyond whatever is in their past, the hurts or programming that they've gotten from their parents and their culture that are limiting them, to becoming free and successful and loving. So my question for you is, how deep does your coaching go? So there's 4 levels, we could say. Most coaches work at the surface level. They're working with goals and issues and planning and what's happening right now and what do you want to get in the future. Some coaches go under the surface. They go to the underlying patterns that people are experiencing, or to look at the deeper problems that are in the way of people successfully achieving their goals and their desires. And then there's some coaches that go deep. They look at the psychological set point and mindset and the causes of the issues that a person comes to coaching with. Like, if I'm having a problem with my colleagues, what's underneath that, right? And what's underneath that, and what's underneath that. And my preference is to go super deep, to actually find the cause of whatever's happening out on the surface and clear it completely from the psyche. That's my way of doing coaching. And here's my thesis. When you help your clients change their core limiting beliefs, you unlimit them, because all beliefs are limiting in a sense. So when we clear them, we become unlimited, so that they can see and create a new reality. And so we should define our terms. A core limiting belief is the actual cause of a surface level problem or issue, and it is almost always buried deep in the subconscious mind. Therefore, when you change your own core limiting beliefs, you unlimit yourself so you can create any new reality that you want. In my training, it goes both ways. You have to clear your own stuff that's in the way so you can help other people clear theirs. So here's a question for you, and I'd love to see your answers in the chat box. What's one belief that you often see in your clients that interferes with their success or their health or their relationships or some other aspect of life? So what's the one you see most often? Yeah, not good enough. The first 2 that came up, and that's one of the more popular ones. They're narratives. Good. What some people call narratives, I call beliefs. I'm not sufficient, self-doubt. They're coming in quickly. Not good enough. Don't know why I do what I do. Not able. The urgent takes over the important. That's something I've experienced myself. Fear of failure, labels, something wrong with me. I have to do everything perfectly, self-doubt. Good. So these are very standard beliefs that get in the way of people's success and their health and their relationships. So thank you for that. Imposter syndrome, there's lots of those. So I want to get experiential because I don't want to be just a talking head. I want you to have an experience of this work directly. So here's the first question. In what area of life do you feel the most accomplished? This might be called your superhero ability. It's like, what are you super at? And say to yourself when you decide what that is, I'm really good at that thing. And then feel what it feels like to hold that belief, to say that belief out loud. So you may be good at finding underlying problems. So you'd say to yourself, I'm really good at finding underlying problems, and then feel your body, feel what it feels like to say this. What we're doing is we're trying on beliefs like you would try clothing on at a clothing store. You don't know what it's going to feel like to be in that particular outfit until you try it on. And then you go, yeah, this feels good. I feel good in this outfit. Or ick, I don't like it. I'm going to take it off and hand it back to the clerk. So again, say to yourself, I'm really good at that thing that you're good at, and feel what it feels like to hold that belief. Good. So here's the next question. What's one problem or lack or difficulty that you have in your life or business that crops up again and again? We asked about your clients. How about you? Good. And when you come up with your answer, the next question is, what's true about you that has created this problem or lack or difficulty? And the answer, put the answer in the form of, because I am a blank, I am blank. For example, because I am confused about what to do next, or because I am a problem, or because I'm not good enough, or because I have imposter syndrome. So put that answer in that form, and then feel what it feels like to believe that belief. And please put in the chat box what it feels like to believe that. These are known as self-beliefs or identity beliefs. Basically, your identity, your personality is a sum total of everything you believe about yourself. Sad, unaccomplished, lack of focus, heavy, shifting focus, scared. Thank you. Thank you for being so honest and so vulnerable. I appreciate that. Limiting and heavy. Yeah. Regretful, wasting my life. Yeah. Thank you so much. I so deeply appreciate your vulnerability in this area, because when we're starting to dig into beliefs, these are the things we find. So you probably know that there's a lie inside every belief. You can see it right there in the word, right? In fact, every belief has a lie to it, because the world and the universe is highly complex and infinitely expansive, and a belief is something that actually limits the universe and puts it in the form of a small box. So for example, when you say what we call a fact, that is a cat. Well, before you had a word for cat, it was an incredible animal that had its own life, its own perceptions, its own aliveness, its own spirit. But as soon as we use a label, that's a cat, then we miss out on that entire experience, the direct experience of what that animal is, who that animal is, right? And we do the same with each other. Oh, she's a coach. Well, that limits what that person is. She's an infinitely complex being, right? And so every belief could be called a limiting belief. So here's one of the core principles. Our beliefs create feelings and sensations, as you just experienced. Now, sometimes we recognize how we're feeling because we believe something, but most often it's a subconscious experience. The belief is subconscious, below the level of consciousness. We just feel bad, or we feel heavy, or we feel limited, or we feel like a failure. There's always a belief underneath that feeling. And here's a handy trick for you to use both with yourself and with other people. You start with the feeling or the sensation, and then discover the belief underneath it. So first you feel what it feels like, whatever you're feeling, whatever the experience is, and feel it fully. I'll get more into this in a moment, but you feel it as fully and completely as you can. And then ask, what belief are you? And I'll give you my favorite story about this. I was invited to a party, and I was excited to be there because I knew there would be a lot of people that I was going to see. I arrived at the party, walked in the door, and immediately I felt very weird. I had never felt it before. My whole body was vibrating. All I wanted to do was run back out the door. People looked cold and distant, and I realized something had been triggered in me. I didn't know what it was, but clearly that wasn't what I was expecting to feel when I walked in that door. So I sat down right next to the front door. I closed my eyes. I felt the feeling fully, my whole body vibrating in a strange way. And I asked this question, what belief are you? And what I heard immediately is, I don't belong here. And I said, that old belief. I had cleared it many years before, but something triggered it to come back. I didn't know what. It might have been to see a particular person, or someone's face that made a certain kind of face, or it might have been a smell. And it didn't really matter. What mattered is that something triggered me, and I wanted to clear the belief. So using my technology, I cleared the belief, I don't belong here, and I installed the belief, I belong here. And then I opened my eyes, I stood up, and I was in a completely different party. I felt at ease and comfortable. Other people looked warm and inviting. They were waving me over, saying, hey, Lion, come on over. It's good to see you. And that took about 20 seconds. So imagine what life would be like if you could shift your attitude or your feeling state virtually instantly. So what are beliefs really? This is, we're starting to dig down into the underpinnings of the work that I do. To answer what are beliefs really, we have to ask the question, who are you really? And these are my answers after decades of practice, study, and exploration. You are a multidimensional being. And as a multidimensional being, you're having multidimensional experiences at all times. Now, beliefs are formed from our experiences. So your beliefs must be multidimensional constructs, not just mental constructs. And most people think of beliefs as a mental construct. I believe in more government, or I believe in less government, or I believe in Santa Claus here in the US, or I don't believe in Santa Claus. These are mental constructs that come from the verbal mental mind. We put things into words and language, but the belief is something deeper and more fundamental. Beliefs are the infrastructure of the human mind. They're the pattern detection that we use to put our life together. When a baby's born, they're in this swirl of experience. They don't have any constructs yet, but they begin very early putting together constructs. Like a baby will say, when this face comes close, I feel warm and I get taken care of. When that face comes close, I feel cold and prickly. So they are beginning to use pattern identification to survive in their environment. Now, that's the basis of this multidimensional constructs. And then we begin to get programmed by these experiences. For example, a baby in the crib, if they're crying and no one comes to them, they feel bereft, they feel anxious, they feel something's wrong. If someone comes quickly when they cry, they come to the conclusion, if this happens over and over again, when I cry and make a fuss, I get taken care of. And that's a really good belief for a baby. It gets them to survive, right? If there's no one that comes, or when they stop crying, someone comes, they may come to a different conclusion. If I'm quiet and I don't make any noise, I'll be taken care of. Now, you probably know people who are still operating on one of those beliefs. Someone who makes a big fuss to get attention, or someone who just goes quiet, hoping to get attention. So this is the basis for this multidimensional belief structure. Yeah, and one of you wrote, models we construct to manage our world. Exactly. These are the models that we set up. Some people call them paradigms. Some people call them schemas. Some people call them scripts or narratives. It's all the same thing that everybody's pointing to, this multidimensional construct below. So this is a complex diagram that's just meant to show you one thing. And that is that our experiences create our beliefs. You can see that on the left side. The pink bubble is beliefs. Beliefs are the source of our thoughts and our emotions and our body sensations, our perceptions. And then we form these adaptive behaviors and strategies. We come up with decisions and choices based on our beliefs and our actions and reactions. And then we create action and behavior, which then results in resistance or blocks or actual results, which gives us new experiences, which then inform our beliefs. Now, the point of this is that if we focus on that pink bubble called beliefs, everything else can change. That's what I discovered after decades of research, is that that by changing our beliefs, especially the core beliefs that are deep in the subconscious mind, we can actually shift everything very quickly and permanently. So for me, the ultimate transformation superpower is the ability to change your client's beliefs. And when you do that, you're also going to change their perceptions, what they are able to see in the world, their thoughts, how they respond, their choices, their actions. So this is also true for you. When you change your beliefs, you will also change your perceptions, thoughts, and choices and actions. So this is a very fundamental part of the human mind. And you've probably heard the saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Well, that's because you're changing the lens through which we look at the world, because beliefs operate like lenses. They let certain things in, they keep other things out. And so that's what we're after, is this ability to change the lens that's in between who we are and how we perceive the world. Now I'm going to talk about the problem with our profession. Gayatri mentioned this earlier. So beliefs are the infrastructure of the mind, and thus our psychology, our identity, who we are and who we show up as. But coaches rarely get professional psychological training, yet the psychology, the structure of the mind, is what holds us and our clients back. And coaches are taught by coaching schools to leave the past to professional mental health professionals. We don't work with the past, we work with the present and the future. Now that's a problem, because what stops people, including ourselves, is stuff from the past. So how do we deal with that? It's like we're supposed to be helping people move forward with their lives, but how can we do that if we don't clear up what's in the past? So here's the solution. This is what makes it coaching and not therapy. We carry our beliefs that were created in the past with us in the present. They are with us all the time. They might have been formed in the past, but they're in us right now, and they're functioning right now as the filters through which we see the world. So belief change occurs in the present, not the past. Now, I do teach some methodologies for changing the past also. Those are the advanced techniques where we can actually heal traumas from the past. but it's not therapy. It's not talk therapy. We go right down into the subconscious mind and make changes there. But this is the rationale for why this is a coaching methodology and not therapy. So here's the question for you. You've been exploring your mind and the minds of others for a long time. So what methods have you tried to change subconscious beliefs, both in yourself and in other people? You can see this long list. There's all kinds of methodologies. So put in the chat box, if you would, what you have done to research and change your core beliefs or other people's core beliefs. Great. I've got a couple of them there: NLP, Sedona, hypnotherapy, mindfulness, EFT, affirmations, PQ. Great. I covered a lot of them. Meditation and yoga, affirmations, journaling, most of the list. Thank you. Inquiry. Good. There's inquiry products. Mindfulness, CAT. I don't know what CAT is. I assume that's not the animal. Shadow work, self-awareness, landmark forum. Great. Great. So you've been an explorer, and you've been trying to figure this out. The question is, how do we bring this into our coaching practice? Thank you for your answers, by the way. So here's what I discovered after decades. I took more than 100 workshops and trainings trying to understand myself and other people, including most of those things on the list. And what I discovered was that most of these processes produced only temporary or partial relief. For example, I'd take a workshop, like landmark workshop. I'd feel great for a couple of days, and then I was kind of back to my old personality, my old patterns. Or affirmations. Everybody loves affirmations, and that gives you a good feeling for a couple minutes, maybe an hour, until the counter beliefs come up and start reminding you that you're really not that great, or you don't have any money. So most of the things I tried produced only partial or temporary results. But every once in a while, something produced a very profound and permanent inner transformation in me. And so as a scientific mind, I started asking myself the question, what do those things have in common? Why do some things work so well and other things don't? And of course, my basic question is, how can we free ourselves and our clients from those negative patterns and the traumas and the beliefs that they're carrying around that are interfering with their life? So that's what I was looking for. And what I discovered is that it has to do with multidimensionality, the multidimensional nature of who we are. So this is what I mean by multidimensional. Look over this list, and you'll see that these are all aspects of being a human being. We have the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the energetic, the behavioral, the social and relational, our personal history and memories. Everyone's different. Our ego needs and wants. And so you can see that there's all these aspects of the self. And what I discovered was that when a process addressed my whole self, all of the dimensions of me, that's when I got profound, permanent results. And that was my big discovery. So multidimensional approaches impact all aspects of the self: body, mind, feeling, spirit, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the superconscious mind. And that's how the Clear Beliefs method was born. Is I brought the experiences and the methodologies together and put them into a form. I downloaded some others. One process just downloaded into me when I asked for one. And that's we still use that as one of the core methodologies. So many of the methodologies are similar to some of those other things, hypnotherapy, NLP, like that. But I really refined them and said, these are the core of the methods that really work. So that brings us to this next question, which is going to be experiential for you and not just me talking. How do you speak directly to the subconscious mind? So much of us is subconscious, below the conscious level. In fact, most of us is subconscious. Some is unconscious, what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. But our subconscious mind is this rich playground of information that we generally don't tap into, or we try to tap into it with one of those techniques, right? So the subconscious speaks its own language. It doesn't speak in our native verbal language. It speaks in sensations, images, memories, symbols, experiences, even analogies and puns. For example, a person may dream one night of being in a fire, and the next day they get fired from their job. So if you look at your night dreams, you'll see how playful the subconscious mind is. And so if you want to speak to it, you have to invite it out to play without judgment or any demands, just like you would a child. You don't go to a child and say, now it's time to play with me, so get to it. You invite the child, you get down on the child's level and you start playing, and then you interact. And that's how you speak to the subconscious mind. And you have to be doing the listening and adjust to its way of communicating rather than demanding it respond to you in some way. So that brings us to the body wisdom process, which I'm going to share with you today. It's one of the fundamental parts of the clear beliefs method. And it can also be used on its own. And I'm going to invite you all to learn it and begin to use it in your own coaching. So the body wisdom process uses the language of the body to communicate directly with the subconscious mind using sensations and images. And part of the process is that you continue to direct your client's attention back and back and back to the sensation that you're working with. And you ask questions, you remain open and curious and accepting. That's a way to get someone to play with you. You avoid emotion labels and verbal mental language. Like, for example, you'll see this as we get closer, and I'm going to do a demo. Someone says, you ask the person, well, what does it feel like? And say, well, it feels like anxiety. Well, anxiety is an emotion label. It's not the feeling in the body. So we stay with body sensations. And we say to the client, okay, well, how does that feel in your body? And we keep referring back to the body. And we can get a lot of information and healing by simply doing this. And like a child, you gain the trust of the subconscious mind, and it becomes more open to communicating. So this is the theory behind the body wisdom process. And I've found it to be true throughout the world. It doesn't matter where we are, because we're all human. So every experience that you have moves through a creation cycle, just like everything on the planet moves through a creation cycle. A mountain gets pushed up from deep in the earth and then it exists, and over time it wears away and it becomes sand. Okay, so that's a creation cycle. It completes its cycle. So when an experience comes up, it has a beginning, which is its appearance, a middle, which is your experience, and the end, which is the disappearance. Now, these are the two principles. When an experience is experienced fully and completely, it will complete its creation cycle and disappear or change. And when an experience is resisted in any of the multiple ways it can be resisted, it will persist, repeat, become bigger, or get more energetic. And you've all heard the term, whatever you resist persists, right? So there are many, many ways of resisting an experience. You can ignore it, deny it, pretend it's not important, suppress it, shun it, forget about it, don't experience it, think about it, figure it out, compare it to others, label it, talk endlessly about it, do something about it, get distracted, feel another feeling, go numb, dissociate, enter another subpersonality. This is just a partial list. There's lots of ways to not experience your experience, but there's only one way to experience it, and that is to experience it fully and completely. And most of our experiences get pushed down into the subconscious mind without being fully experienced. Mindfulness is all about experiencing your experience fully in the moment. That's the only place you can experience it fully, is in the moment, is in the present, because body sensations are in the present moment. So this also has to do with mindfulness. We call this an embodied mindful process. So here's the key to, and this is a key to healing, we call it clearing, but it's actually healing. The key to clearing an unwanted experience, especially one that's persisting and keeps coming back, is to become willing to experience it. When resistance turns to willingness, the experience is allowed to complete its original intent, which is to be experienced. And this allows it to complete its journey as a creation. Now, if any of you have studied psychology and have looked at trauma healing, things like somatic experiencing are all about going back to an experience that didn't get completed and completing it. So this is pretty standard now throughout the trauma healing field. So I'm going to do a demo of the body wisdom process with a volunteer, and then we're going to send you out in pairs to work to practice it with each other. And we've got an instruction sheet which we'll be giving you shortly. I'm going to stop sharing my slides. There we go. I hope that was interesting to you. Let me know if it was in the chat box, because I'm over here talking and you are there receiving. So let me know if that was useful to you. And if you would like to volunteer to be in a demo with me, obviously there's a public demo. The recording will be available to people. I'm going to be asking you some vulnerable questions. So if you raise your electronic hand, if you'd be interested in doing a demo, I'll talk to a few people and pick the one I think will make the best demo. So here are the qualifications. So the first question is, what are you experiencing that you'd rather not experience? Now, sometimes it's a physical sensation, sometimes it's a mental issue, a problem, sometimes it's emotional, and any of those could work with this process. But that's the question I'll ask you, is what are you experiencing that you'd rather not be experiencing? And I'll ask a few of you and then pick the person I think will make the best demo. It's very intuitive. So Ning, would you unmute and put on your video and just say what it is you're experiencing that you'd rather not be experiencing?
Anger, angry, resentment, feel being wrongly treated, and powerless.
Okay, that's a good combo. Thank you. Hang in there for a moment.
Okay.
And yeah, keep your hand raised so we can find you easily. GC, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Would you put your video on and tell me what you're experiencing you'd rather not experience?
Hi. I'm experiencing kind of frustration and powerlessness.
And from what? Did I pronounce your name correctly, first of all?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would do.
Okay. Please correct me. So what is it that's causing that?
Okay, I have been under medication for some thyroid issue for the past 10 years. Whatever I have tried, it's not just going away. So that is leading to these feelings.
Okay, thank you very much, GC. And Deepa, would you please come on camera and say what you're experiencing you'd rather not experience?
A kind of a restlessness, a feeling of not being able to manage myself in harmony, a kind of a powerlessness, but mostly I can say, yeah, it's a kind of an anxiety where I'm feeling, which is further making me feel restless.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And I'll take one more. Providencia. Would you come on, unmute?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So for me, it's fear. I'm at a crucible in my life right now, as far as not too long ago, 3 years ago, my best friend died, my mom. The year after, I wind up getting rectal cancer, and now I'm at a new beginning. And
Good.
I'm getting older. And
welcome to the club. It's a big club.
and wondering where I'm retired, yet I'm still trying to build a coaching business at my age.
Sweet.
Okay. Okay, good, Providencia. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you. I'm gonna choose to work with Deepa. So Deepa, if you'd come back on camera, and I'll do the process with you.
Thank
And
you.
if you could spotlight Deepa with me. Okay, welcome, Deepa.
Thank you, Leon.
So would you describe again what it is you're experiencing that you'd rather not be experiencing?
It's a kind of a feeling of being just one moment, I'm in a meeting. It's a kind of a feeling of being restless, of being very anxious. It's suddenly as if my heartbeat goes very high suddenly, and at times the same thing, maybe because it makes me feel powerless, and hence I get frustrated and angry. But somewhere the base feeling is of not being able to manage and feeling stressed and anxious.
Okay, very good.
This is what I understand, since I
okay.
work in psychology and I'm a
That's okay. That's okay. Hold on.
Yeah,
We're going to roll right into the process.
yeah, sorry.
So I'd like you to close your eyes and remember the last time you felt that way, or if you're feeling it now, feeling it right now. And just feel it in your body. Just feel your body. Put your attention on your body. Because that's all we're going to talk about right now is body sensations. And where do you notice the body sensation when you feel that way?
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. So it's this very strange kind of burning in my chest, and
Okay.
subtly it makes me feel a lump in my throat.
Good.
And if the state continues, since I have been through it several times, and right now also I can say that it's a kind of as if I start sweating up.
Okay, very good. That's enough information for now. So what I'd like you to do is to focus on the burning sensation in your chest. Just put your attention right there. Put your attention right at the center of that burning sensation. And I'd like you to notice that when you're at the center and you expand your awareness to its outermost limits, that it's there, and then at some point it isn't there. Sometimes those limits are clear and distinct. Sometimes they kind of gray out and then they're not there. And just notice the size and shape of that sensation. How big is it? How wide is it? How tall is it? How deep is it? So tell me, as you're exploring that, what is the size and shape of that sensation?
It feels like something is again and again pulsating, and when it becomes bigger, it gives that lump in my throat.
Okay, so what is it when how big is it when it's not expanded, and how big is it when it's expanded? Give me some measurements.
Maybe something like it's kind of a circle or an oval. That's what I feel.
Okay, and how wide is it?
Maybe I could say that when it's the widest, it's around, say, 6 to 7 inches radius.
Okay, very good.
It's really small, maybe just an inch of diameter.
Okay, very good. So now allow that expanding and contracting oval shape to be there. Give it room to be there. It's part of you, so you might as well give it room. And this is the allowing, which allows the willingness to experience it. So just feel it as it is and notice that it's expanding and contracting. And you mentioned that it was a hot sensation. So about what temperature is it?
Definitely higher than my body temperature.
Okay.
Can't really put a figure to it.
Is it something that could, is it like hot, like a match that could light a fire?
No, it's enough to make me feel hot, feel sweaty.
Okay, very good. So just allow that hot sensation that's expanding and contracting to be there. And how often does it pulse? Like, is it pulsing with your heartbeat, or faster than your heartbeat, or slower than your heartbeat?
It's definitely faster.
Faster. Okay, good. And if you could take the sensation out of your body and put it on a weight scale, how much would it weigh?
Maybe a kg or two. Yeah, it's
Okay.
heavy. It's heavy.
That's fine. Okay.
It's something
Yeah.
that obstructs me, so it's heavy.
That's fine. Okay, so it's around 1 or 2 kilograms.
Yeah.
And what color is it? If it had a color, what color would it be?
Yeah, it's black and or dark shades of gray.
Okay, black and gray. Again, allow this black and gray pulsing shape to be there. That's hot and makes you sweat. Just allow it to be there. Give it room. You could even think of welcoming it in. It's like an old friend. It's been with you a long time, not someone you like very much, but like an old friend that shows up at the door and says, "Hi, I'm here." You go, "Oh, okay, come in for tea." And so invite it in for tea. And make sure you continue to breathe. And is the sensation putting pressure in any direction when it expands or contracts? Is it pushing in a particular direction?
It does give me a pain in my shoulders. It like
Okay.
it goes in such a manner that suddenly my maybe it's so heavy, that's why my shoulders feel weighed down. Maybe that's the reason what I feel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But
Good.
yeah, because it's heavy, it's heavy on me.
Okay, good. So just allow it to be heavy, allow it to be what it is. And again, invite it in for a cup of nice Darjeeling tea. And to say, "Oh, nice to see you again, old friend. You've made a lot of trouble for me, but welcome anyway." Good. And now every sensation is like a messenger of some kind, trying to deliver a message at the door. And if you open the door and you say, "What?" and it says, "I have this message, sign here," then it can go away and having delivered its message. But if you don't answer the door, the messenger knocks louder and louder and louder until he takes out a sledgehammer and breaks your door down. So I'd like you to imagine that this sensation has a message for you. And so simply, since you're having tea with it, just say, "What message do you have for me?" and listen to what it says. And it might speak in words, might pictures, memories, could be anything. Just ask it, "What message do you have for me?" and tell me what it says.
The feeling I get is that when when you asked me initially, that just invite it in, my sweat started going away. I was no more feeling the sweat.
Good.
That's one thing. And then
Good.
when I started allowing it more and not letting it knock the door, but allowing it, the pressure from my shoulders started going. Didn't go
Good.
completely, but it started going.
Good.
Message, I still can't really figure out, but I think it's more of
That's
it's
okay.
telling
This is
me
not
more- it's-
Deepa, this is not a figuring out process.
no,
This is
the
a
feeling
feel.
the feeling
Yeah.
I get is it's telling me that I'm just your coping mechanism.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
standing with you, and that's the primary feeling that's coming to me. That
Okay,
it's
very
telling
good.
me that since you were closing yourself to me, I was hurting your shoulders, but because you are allowing, I'm just your coping mechanism, and I'm with you.
Okay, very good. Very good. Now
it's-
ask it, since you're in communication with it, now ask it, "What are you helping me cope with?"
The powerlessness.
Okay, thank it for communicating. And ask it, "What makes me powerless?"
your own notions, your own narratives, your
Hmm.
belief of not being enough or doing enough.
That's good information. Thank it for communicating. And ask it, what belief do I need to have instead?
That you can manage it.
Oh, thank it.
Those are the
And
words
try
come.
try saying out loud, I can manage it, and see what that feels like.
I can manage it.
Mhm,
I can manage it.
mhm. And try it saying it this way, which is a little bit different. I can handle this.
I can handle this. I can handle this. I can manage it. I can handle
Mhm.
this.
Good. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, powerful.
Oh, well, that's good. Thank you for being honest. So ask the sensation, is this what you intended me to understand?
It's the same statement coming that I'm with you. I'm just helping you, and I'm with you.
Ah, okay, good. Well, thank it for helping you, and say that I'm now receiving your message. So could you deliver it in another way? Could you just remind me gently rather than with a big heated pulse? Like, for example, with a nice golden glow.
Yeah, so I do have now a different light flashing.
Okay. Ask it, is
There
this
are
your new way
hues
of
of
communicating?
purple. There are hues of purple that I see now.
Okay. Ask it, is this your new way of communicating and reminding me that I can handle it and I can manage it?
Yes.
Good. Thank it for communicating. Thank it for changing, and say, I really appreciate your finally getting through to me. And I will continue to work on this and make sure I change my belief.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Much gratitude.
Yeah. Good. And when you're ready, open your eyes. How do you feel?
Good. It was a very humbling experience. It was very beautiful.
Good. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a
Thank
great
you
demo.
so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. We will continue to go through because I'd like you to experience this yourselves with a shared breakout group. They're putting a instruction sheet in the chat box, and we're going to put you into pairs, and you can there's a list of questions there. You can ask them in any order. And basically, you're just going to follow what I did. You're going to ask your partner to focus on a part of their body that they have a sensation in. And you're going to go through the process and just find out, get them focused back and back and back on the sensation, and ask them for specific sensation terms. So if they start talking about their history or their process or what they know about it, just say, what does it feel like? Describe the sensation itself. the instruction sheet is now in the chat box, so please download it. And then if sometimes this results in the sensation just going away completely, in which case you don't have to ask it for its message. But if it keeps hanging on, it means there's a message there, and so you'll ask it for its message and talk to it, because this is a way of directly talking to the body, to the subconscious mind, to the body. The body has a lot to say. Our entire nervous system is an information highway, and every sensation is information that's trying to get through. And as Deepa experienced, when she resisted it, it was like knocking on her door, right? But once she welcomed it in and found out what it had to say, it was able to resolve. So yes, it's okay if you can't switch on your camera. If you can, please do. Because we're about to go into breakout groups, if you can't stay for the full, Gayatri, how much time are we giving them? 10 minutes each?
Yes.
Great. So so if you can't stay for a full 20 minutes and go through the whole process, drop off now so that we don't include you and then you have to go in the middle of that process, because we want to give you 10 minutes each. And if you haven't downloaded the document, please do so now. I know that some of you have to go. I'm so appreciative of your being here. And now we can go into the breakout groups. Gayatri, are we ready to send people into breakouts?
Yeah, Dave, do you want to send them into breakouts?
Great.
Already done that.
Okay.
Great.
all right.
I'll be here when you get back to answer any questions, see how far you can go and see what miracles you can create. Thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome.
We have about a minute or so left when everybody.
Only a
joins
minute?
back
Oh, no.
us. Yeah, we are 2 minutes to the hour. We would want to have a photo session with all the participants who are still on, and of course a debrief from the experience in the breakout room. And I think most of the questions perhaps have got answered in the process. So welcome back, everyone.
And I will be happy to stay longer and answer questions if there are some, if you can keep the room open. But if not, I'll understand as well.
Yeah. Dave, we could have a photo session if and then we launch the feedback poll. Just keep the questions coming in, or any experience you have from the breakout rooms, which line can take up. Any questions, clarifications you have around the process, etc. We will be posting another handout, which is a longer version of the entire process itself. And you can take that, soak in it, and apply, practice that along with a colleague or, maybe yourself. And that's something which we will give it to you very, very shortly. Any questions, anything that comes up, you might just want to pop that into the chat box. CCU link will be shared with you shortly. Dave?
Hey, Gayatri, how are you?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
would you like to share something?
Yeah, I had a quick question if we have a minute with Lion.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Good. Do you want to do the poll first? Do you want to make sure the
Sure.
poll gets?
Sure.
Yeah. So give everybody a couple minutes to do the poll, and then I'll be happy to answer questions. Gayatri, can we start taking questions?
Yep. Any
Great.
questions at the moment? I have not seen any questions here.
Yeah, I'll share one.
Yeah.
Please.
Hey, Lion, so when you're in a coaching session and you want to kind of go down this path, and if there is resistance from the client, and or if the client's really not able to visualize, because that's the point here is to visualize that pain, visualize the feeling, and then describe it. What are some techniques of getting over that? Or do we just need to then move into a different direction if the client's not able to go down this path?
It's a very good question, and one that I get asked often. I would say that this process, when just done gently in the way we just did it, works about 90% of the time. What you're doing is you're directing the person's attention, and everybody has attention. And if they can direct it into their body, then they can find out what that feeling feels like. And when you ask the specific questions, it actually directs the attention to look in that way, to perceive in that way. There are some people who don't want to look inside. And so if I find that, I just move on to something else because I don't want to push them into anything they don't want to experience. On the other hand, people often find it very interesting. And I don't know about India, but in the US, there's a lot of men who don't know how to feel. When you ask them, how do you feel? They don't even know where to look. And so this is actually a way of training those men that they can look to body sensations, because most men know where their body is. And so when they pay attention to their body sensations and not word labels, then they can say how they feel. So again, in the US, women will ask men, how do you feel? And they go, fine, because they don't know where to look. But if you say, what are you noticing in your body? They can go, oh, I notice that I've got this pain here in my chest and I've got this rumbling in my stomach. So it is a way for people to become more familiar with their experience in their body. So if there's resistance, I don't go there, but most people are willing and open to explore. There was another.
Very helpful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. There was another question from GC. Is this some kind of healing process, or is it a valid coaching process accepted by ICF? ICF does accredit our training for 40 hours of CCEs. So they know what I'm doing and they have accredited it. So it must be a coaching process. Good.
Yeah, I think working with the body in the moment, in the experience is very much a coaching process. And we're not digging into the past of, what caused it. We're just talking to the sensation in the moment. And that's pretty much what master coaches do. And
Yes.
I really like what Lion said earlier, that, we always, at least I always believe that belief is a mental construct, but it's actually a multi-dimensional experience that creates belief. And the process actually unearths all of it by way of the feelings coming up and we actually talking to the feelings at the subconscious. So, yeah.
Indeed. There's a question there. There seems to be a deliberate lightening of the conversation at one point when you were asked to befriend the feeling. Is that by design? Absolutely. It follows the principle that whatever we resist persists, and whatever we become willing to experience will lighten up, disappear, or change. And so that is part of the process. It is by design. And if you do this process long enough, without even going to the dialogue step, you can actually clear a body sensation completely in many cases. So if someone comes to you and they say, well, I'd be happy to talk about my goals, but my knee is really hurting me right now, you could just go to this process on their knee, and probably in 5 to 10 minutes, that sensation will disappear. Now, it doesn't disappear physical conditions. Like if they have a problem with their knee physically, that's not going to change, but their experience of the pain will change and can change. So it may be something that they still have to have knee surgery, but their relationship to the pain, if they become willing to feel it, it will move the information through the body, and without resistance, it lightens up or changes. Yeah.
Thank you for this, Lion. There's another question by Anna. My question is regarding the contracting phase of this deep experience. How does this happen?
Good. That's a good question. This process is usually after the contracting phase of your setup of the coaching session. So you do your contracting, you'd ask what they'd like to work on. And if it is appropriate, they've already contracted to do the coaching, right? Or they've said, I really want to work on my success goals. And so at some point they're talking about their success goals, and you may ask the question, what's holding you back? And they say, well, it's anxiety. Oh, well, that's a good signal. If they use an emotion word, this is a good signal to move into the body wisdom process to allow them to explore it more deeply. Because the emotion words that we use, anxiety, fear, desperation, overwhelm, they can be found in the body. They are referencing body sensations. And so by putting the attention on the body sensations only, instead of the word labels, we get out of our mental verbal mind and into our perceptual mind, and a lot more information comes through. So whatever the issue is that's in the way of their success, whatever is the problem in their life that they're dealing with, this allows them to explore more deeply themselves and find out what information is there that they can get access to.
We have Shahina Yusuf. She's raised her hands quite some time now. Yes, Shahina, would you like to ask?
Yes, so in the demo, one of the places where my partner and I got stuck when I asked her the question, and when she asked me back was, how is this helping me with? How is this sensation helping me? So I could feel the heaviness, and I know the heaviness is there. So it was kind of confusing to know in what sense is it's informing me of something. Yes. So is the helping as in by informing me this? So I got by informing me that this is what is.
Right. It often has something to say, and it wants to communicate. You saw in the demo earlier that it was often these sensations are protectors. They're trying to protect you from something or help you move forward in some way. A lot of the oldest patterns in us, including our identity beliefs, like who I am, were formed in childhood. And in childhood, you had an experience like failure, for example, that you couldn't handle. And so a part of you kind of got set up to prevent that feeling from happening again. And preventing you from failure, for example, may prevent you from moving forward because you might fail. Right? So it's there to say, no, don't fail, don't fail, don't fail, don't go there, don't go there. And so it's like a young part that has formed a way of preventing you from having a bad experience again. And so a lot of sensations are like that.
Okay, so just a quick one. So in mine, it is about freezing in certain volatile situations. And the message I got from my sensation was, hey, you're safe.
Yes. Yes.
That. Exactly. And so to ask, how is that message helping me? So it was trying to say you're safe when I was running on the old belief that, hey, you need to worry and this is danger, but it's trying right now to tell me it's not necessarily that you're safe now.
Well, one of the questions you can ask, which is very powerful, is how old do you perceive I am? So these protectors are protecting the child. When you were 3 or 4 or 5 years old, that freezing mechanism was a really good, safe thing to do. Like, yes, yeah, good. I don't have to feel that thing, or I'm not in danger anymore. And then you can inform this aspect of self that's protecting you. Can you see that I'm now an adult and that I have skills and abilities that I didn't have as a child? And often the response is, wow, I didn't notice. I didn't notice that you grew up. And so then you're talking to it as an adult and informing it that this is the new reality. So that is a very helpful way of updating those parts of you that's created a strategy as a child that are no longer useful.
Yeah, because they're stuck in that time space of then, and they think it's still reality and it's still that space, and life is still in that space. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. And that's how the mind works, is it kind of freezes in time a particular experience, and that stays with us and keeps happening. That's why it's in the present. And by working with it, we can update it and bring it into current reality.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
An interesting question over here, I read in the comments. Our pair found it culturally inappropriate to ask questions about each other's body sensations without having time to build trust and safety. How soon can we go this deep?
Wow, that's a good question. I think this is really something you have to answer for yourself, because I'm in the American culture, you're in the Indian culture, it's very different. I can ask people anything in the American culture. It's like a free for all. But for you in your culture, I think you need to find your way into this. You might just simply say, I have a process that I'd like to do. It has to do with your putting attention on your body sensations. Would that be okay to work with that? Are you open to working with that possibility? That may be the only question you need to ask. If the person says no, that's embarrassing, say, okay, fine, we'll do something else instead. We don't ever press people for, to go where they don't want to go. On the other hand, if we inform them that there's a possibility of clearing this from your life, is that of interest to you? And they say yes, say, okay, well, I'm going to use a process that will help do that. Is that okay? And if you get permission, then you move forward.
Good, good. There's Deepa who's raised a hand. Deepa.
Yeah. Hi, Lian.
Hi.
I have a question on how do we differentiate between a physical pain that needs to be experienced versus that needs to be addressed through a surgery or medication or whatever it is?
Good question. I mentioned this earlier, that physical issues, this is not appropriate this is not a healing technique for physical issues. On the other hand, physical issues, I mentioned the knee before, like let's say you have a problem with your knee, the bones are rubbing against the bone. That pain that you feel is one of the messages that the body sends. What it's saying is, something's wrong, fix it, get it fixed. There's something wrong here. That's its primary message. And that means that if that's the case, then you go to the doctor and you get it fixed. This is not a replacement for medical treatment. Okay. On the other hand, if a person is experiencing pain because of the knee, the bones rubbing against bone, and they're resisting the pain, then that fixes the pain in a certain way in one's experience. And by going in and experiencing the pain fully, it will move through the body, and it will relax and enable the healing to occur naturally, more, because you're not resisting the information. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine had a boyfriend who was in a terrible motorcycle accident, broken bones all over the place, really bad. And when they came to give him pain medications, he refused them. He said, no, I want to feel what my body's feeling. And they said, you're crazy. He said, I don't want any pain medications. And they told him when he came into the hospital, you'll never walk again. We're going to have to do a lot of surgery. You'll never walk again. And by him refusing the pain meds, I don't recommend this. This is a very unusual situation. He walked out of the hospital 6 weeks later, because he was willing to feel everything, and the body then could say, okay, I need to go repair that there and repair that there. So there's something about being willing to experience even pain that frees the body, gives the information the body needs to go take care of it. Again, don't do that yourself. If you need pain meds, get pain meds. But this is the principle, the underlying principle.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked this question is, in acupuncture therapy, we say that pain is an indication of how the body heals, or body being in the healing process. The outcome is the pain.
The communication is the pain. I would agree with that. The body is trying to send messages to the consciousness saying this needs help, this needs healing. And so this process is only to allow the information to come through. It's not intended to heal. It's not intended to fix something that's broken. It's just to allow the information. That gives the body, it allows the body to communicate. That's what this process is about. So this is not a healing technique, although we have reports that it helped people heal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have a
Thank you.
last question over here. No, Gayatri, we have one more question.
Yeah.
Many a times people find it difficult to talk about emotions, feelings, and sensations. How can we help them with this process?
So emotions, feelings, and sensations are all different. And so let's distinguish between them. What we call emotions are actually labels. So for example, I feel anxious. As soon as you use the label, I earlier talked about that as a cat, right? So as soon as you use a label, I feel anxious. I'm not in my sensations anymore. I'm in my verbal mental mind. Oh, that's called anxiety. All of us could have this feeling we call anxiety, and the body sensations would be different in each of us. One person would feel it more in their stomach, one person feel it more in their chest, one person would feel it more in their throat, one person would feel more in their jaw. So everyone's sensations are unique, but we use these words to point to certain sensations or certain combinations of sensations. Anxiety often is a tingling or a heavy sensation in one of these places. Fear is a kind of pulling back sensation. So every word label points to body sensations. But as soon as you use the label, you're now in your head, you're not in your body anymore. So just making that distinction for people is very helpful. And to say, okay, that's a word label. What are the actual sensations that you're feeling? How do you know you're feeling anxious? Where do you notice it in your body? That question alone can help the person recognize what they're actually feeling. They're feeling a sensation. The problem is those words are used interchangeably when they're actually quite different. So if you just make the distinction between the word label and the sensation, that is a helpful thing for anyone to notice that I call it anxiety, but it really is this vibration in my chest. I hope that answered your question.
Wonderful. It's a very simple, but yet a very powerful way to bring the person to the sensation of the body.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Preeti. Thanks, Lion. I think we are a little short of the time. So
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to perhaps, as a last word, invite Tushima, who is part of us right now. She is the president of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. Just a word from her, and pretty much I think we'll close after that.
Very good.
Tushima?
Hey, thanks, Gayatri. Hi, Leon. Hi, everyone. So I've been
Tushima.
listening very attentively for about 2 hours now. I think one belief of ours, of the teams, has definitely been validated. So we believed that this would be a great session, and it was. So that's something which I think we can all say with confidence. We had a terrific response to this session. We had so many people registering and so many people showing up. It's really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and for both the demos. They were really powerful. I think the number of questions that came in and the kind of openness and sharing that happened is a direct reflection of how powerful this session was, because it brought so much to the surface for so many people. I think we take away a wealth of rich insights and a lot of personal reflections for all of us. So fantastic. This was the first masterclass of the community of practice on coaching mastery. So I want to congratulate the entire team, Gayatri, Preeti, Dev, Nilima. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
thanks, Lion,
Tushima.
for your generosity and a power-packed session. I think for me, it's been a very different takeaway from all the sessions I've attended in the past in terms of NLP practices or Sedona method, as I mentioned earlier, and ways of working with subconscious. But I think what stands out for me is allow the experience to be fully experienced. We are very often in denial, and that's what kind of keeps popping us as pain or as some sensation or the other in the body. So that's very powerful for me. Thank you so much, Lang, for that. And I'm going to send out by mail the longer version of this entire process, which you all can consume. And for those who are not right now here, can consume and start using that, on themselves, on their clients, on their colleagues, peers, and benefit out of it. Thank you again, Lion, for your largesse. I know it was very early in the morning for you, and thanks for looking as though it was midday for you and walking us through the process with all the spirit and the energy that you are so famous to bring to your sessions. Thank you again,
Thank you.
all of you.
Thank you so much. It's a true honor to be here with you, and I feel very grateful for the opportunity. So please reach out to me if I can be of service in any way.
Sure. Thank you so much.